Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show, to Sunday Night Live on this 26th. Well, it's 26th here. Where you are in the world, it might not be the 26th. It might still be the 25th. So I'm going to call this the 26th because it is here. 26th of January 2026. Good grief. We are marching through this decade at an alarming rate, and we are marching through this year actually almost at an alarming rate, actually, because we're almost at the end of January. It's going to be February on the next show. So that's a little bit crazy, because that means that there are, 11 months, 10 months until Christmas? There, I said the C word. So start thinking about those kind of things now. We've already started stashing money away, having just recovered from stashing money away from last Christmas. We've already started saving for next year. So, we obviously did not account for having to go down to England this month because of my dad. So that kind of has made things financially entertaining, but we're still hanging in there. So anyway, welcome everybody. Hopefully I will get some new lighting in here in the next week or two. As you can see, I still do have, you'll be able to see over there, I still do have the lighting strips. They just don't work. Essentially what happened was we had a power cut a few weeks ago, and nothing else was really affected apart from my lighting rig for lighting me for the show got reset back to default, and then my little blue LED strips, they just won't work anymore, so they are dead, unfortunately. So we're having to use a combination of the main lighting rig and then my nice overhead light there, which is I've got set to a nice pale blue at the moment. But yeah, so that's what we're doing at the moment, and hopefully I'll have that sorted in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, welcome everybody. We've got about 19 people here, which is fantastic. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. As I said in my message in the chat, I am still quite considerably delicate. I am prone to bursting into tears for literally no reason. That has happened several times over the course of this week. And I'm not really sleeping very much, so you guys are going to have to bear with me, I'm afraid. And hopefully I will not misread your questions, and hopefully I will not be a grumpy git as well when answering your questions. So please just be patient and bear with me. It's a difficult time. It's going to take me a good while to kind of get myself back to what I would count as normal. Normal for me is not normal for everybody else. Normal for me is just slightly weird. But at the moment, yeah, it's not a nice place to be honest. Because I'm emotionally all over the place. But those of you that have been through bereavement will understand, and you'll know what I'm going through. And you'll know that it will take some. You will know that it will take some time for me to get myself to a point where I'm a little bit more like my regular self. But I am working towards that. So just to give you the heads up as to what's going to be happening over the course of maybe the next couple of weeks. I may have to cancel a couple of shows. I'm not sure exactly when yet, because I am going to have to go down to England to settle up my dad's estate and sell his house and all of that, plus the funeral as well. I do now have the official cause of death, and I also will have in the next day or two the death certificate, so I can actually start moving on all of that stuff. So yeah, I will let you know what's going to happen, when it's going to be, what shows are going to get cut, and we're just gonna have to work around it until the funeral and everything else is all settled, and then I will be back here, and then that'll be me back here for the rest of the year. So with all of that in mind, I have unfortunately not spent nearly as much time as I would like with Studio Pro 8. So there are things that I'm still finding out just by going through the release notes and watching actually some videos. I'm gradually making my way through some of the things that I didn't get a chance to get to when we were on pre-release, because I have the privilege of being able to, have access to things before they're released. So yeah, there's going to be some degree, at least, of me kind of discovering things as we go, which is not how I like to roll. I like to kind of, know what I'm talking about, know what I'm doing. So this is kind of all a little bit different for me. But we will get through it. We will get there, and everything will be fine. So, Billy Morgan was first in the door. No surprise there. But what is a surprise is who was next. It's John Hathwaite, who has a very good question, which I don't think I can actually answer, unfortunately. But we will get to his question. And we got Peter Bata here as well, over in Montreal, Canada, where it feels like minus 27, which I said is basically t-shirt and kilt weather. So, just grow up. That's what we have in Scotland, like every winter. I'm kidding. Actually, an awful lot of Canadians are actually Scottish in their ancestry, so that's why Canadians are amongst some of the toughest people on the planet. That's why, because a lot of them are flipping Scottish. All right, so Eric Peterson is in as well. He's signing in, and we got Kyle here as well. We got Tony Stringer, who says, I thank Jonny for the tip of testing Pro 8 for a month. He was on Studio Pro Plus. And he says he's going to stay on Studio One 6. Well, you know what? If you're happy there, stay there. Stay there. And kind of, whilst you're still working away in Studio One 6, keep an eye out on what's going on in Studio Pro 8 land. And, if you find that there are things that are added to Studio Pro 8 in the future that you kind of think, you know what, actually, that gives me a good reason to upgrade, then you can upgrade at that point. I know I've seen a lot of people in social media who have basically been going around some of the groups and basically saying, I'm not going to upgrade to this because it doesn't have the things that I want. And that's okay. It's fine. Don't upgrade until you're ready to upgrade. That's always been my view. Obviously, upgrading now makes money for the company. So, my instinct is I would encourage everybody to upgrade as soon as possible. But that said, sometimes, right now is not the best time for you to upgrade. For some of you, it will be the right time to upgrade. But, don't feel like you have to upgrade just because there is an upgrade. Especially when there is a 0.0 version that is brand newly released. I've always said, and I will keep on saying, it is wisdom to wait until at least the very first maintenance release build is out there. Because, when a 0.0 build goes out, inevitably, and this happens with every software, go and ask Pro Tools people, go and ask Logic people, go and ask Ableton Live people, go and ask Cubase people, they will all tell you, as soon as a brand new version goes out the door and gets released to the world, there are bugs. There are. It's the nature of software development. Every piece of software on the planet does this. And so, there's people out there that are saying, oh, does this mean I have to be a beta tester for free? No. That's not how it works. But it is impossible for any software company to test every conceivable variable of plugins, hardware configuration, and even setup, what gear you have plugged into the software. You can't test every possible variable. If we did try to test every possible variable, we would still be waiting for this release in 10 years' time. And then everybody on social media will be saying, why has there not been a new update? Is this now abandonware? Have they abandoned it? Has Fender abandoned Presonus, consigned it to the rubbish heap of software history? Those are the kind of posts we would get. So, yeah, it's impossible. So, bugs are normal, okay? Yes, they're a pain in the butt. And some of them are really, really, really a pain in the butt, like the automation one that we're seeing at the moment. But they do get fixed. They always get fixed. It's the point. You know, the 0.0 version goes out and, you know, there are computer configurations that the software is encountering for the first time, and it will throw up some bugs. Or, you know, something that couldn't possibly have tested, you know, in the test environment shows itself up, like the automation thing. None of us in testing saw that. If we had, it wouldn't have occurred. You guys would not be seeing it now. So, you know, we didn't see it because we didn't see it. It's not that we didn't test. It's because we just didn't see it happen. And so you're seeing it now. Personally, I haven't had it. I have not had the automation issue. But some of you guys have. So I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. But, you know, there's enough people out there to say that they have had it, that, yeah, it obviously exists. And it is already known by the development team, and it will get fixed because they always fix stuff. It's kind of their job. That's kind of what they do. So it will get fixed, and you know, there will be maintenance releases that come out pretty soon. Can't say when, but they will be out pretty soon. And when that maintenance release goes out, hopefully this particular one will be in the list of fixes. Check the release notes when the maintenance release comes out, and then test it. See, hey, does this still happen? No? Great. It's fixed. Then we can move on. And then we can start, you know, adding stuff to the program going forward. Because, you know, the future is very, very exciting, by the way. For those of you that are kind of like, oh, now this is in the hands of Fender, what's going to happen to it? It's just going to get dumbed down and turned into a guitar player's DAW, and I'm not a guitar player, I play piano. Yeah, that's me. I'm a piano player. Yes, I do have a guitar. Can I play it? Not really. But I have it, and it's not even a Fender. I do have 2 Fender basses, though, and yes, I do play those. But I'm mostly a keyboard player, a drummer, and a vocalist, and an arranger. That's basically the vast majority of the work that I do using Studio One and Studio Pro, right? So that whole kind of guitar player thing, you could say that applies to me. But at the end of the day, you know, the Mustang Rumble, there's always some creative thing you can do with it, right? I also happen to play flugelhorn. And I also happen to play a little bit of saxophone. Guess what I did when I got my hands on the Mustang Rumble? I set up a microphone and I started playing my flugelhorn through some of the presets and finding things that just sound funky and fun and entertaining, and turning my flugelhorn into a guitar. And it's great. And, you know, I can also run my EWI through it as well. And it sounds great. So, you know, never count yourself out. The cool thing about this Nord here is that it has an absolutely banging Fender Rhodes. In fact, there's a couple of really banging Fender Rhodes presets on here. And so if I run this through the nice little Fender Twin there, it sounds absolutely fucking epic. It sounds great. It makes this come alive in ways I didn't think were possible. So if you're a keyboard player, don't count yourself out for being able to use the new Fender guitar amp plugins. Use some imagination. You know, think outside the box. because it can apply to you, whether you're a brass player, a saxophone player, a clarinet player, piano player, whatever, just because it says Fender on it doesn't mean it's just for guitar players. Trust me, I'm not a guitar player, and I think this is epic. And I'm not just saying that because I'm associated with the company. I'm saying that because I think it's true. I believe it. All right, I'm getting off my soapbox again. Because I did this the other night, and I promised I wouldn't do this. So, there we go. And I only got through halfway through the list of who's here. The W5 family are here, and Craig says, "You, sir, are still the best." Thank you very much. That is very kind. Dwayne is here, and he's actually here on time. Dwayne, well done to you. Let's see, who else is here? Dave's not here. Oh, yes, Dave is here. He says, "Got back in the house after they told me to stand outside and make an..." What? I don't understand any of that at all. Kyle and Dwayne are chatting away about Tonalic, which I'm not going to do a demo on tonight. So those of you that are here hoping for me to do a demo on Tonalic, I haven't even installed it yet. Sorry, folks. It's just been that kind of a weekend. I had plans to install it yesterday, and those plans went very, very out of the window. I had a terrible day yesterday, so I didn't even make it in here yesterday. So, I was not really in here. I was still on social media, but I was on my phone or I was on my iPad. I just didn't make it in here. But that was the plan. I was going to get Tonalic installed and have a play with it, and that didn't happen. So, yes, there will be no demo on Tonalic tonight. Sorry, folks. So, we got 38 people here, and that's probably now going to go down to 10 because you're all waiting for me to do a Tonalic demo. Sorry, that's not going to happen. However, I am hoping to do that on Wednesday. I will get it installed, and I will definitely do a demo with it, because it does look good. The essential version that is free, thanks to the partnership between the three-way partnership between Personas, Fender, and Ceremony, you get the essential version, which basically gives you one guitar guy, but that one guitar guy does a lot of different things with a lot of different guitars. And it is like having a session guitar player for free. So, why not? Especially if you're not a guitar player like me. I am definitely not a guitar player, so having this guy come and work in my studio for free, following my weird and wacky and wonderful harmonic language, let's hope he can cope with it, shall we? So yes, there will be no Tonalic. Let's see who else is here. Paul Morgan is here as well. And we got Keith here as well, I think. I think I saw his name. And Just Bob is here. Blue Note 59 is here. He says, the fewer people update, the longer it takes until bugs are discovered. Yes, sometimes that's true. Sometimes that is true. Sometimes not necessarily true. But yes, that certainly can be a thing. RCDJ again says, evening from the windy and wet Wolverhampton. Good grief, Wolverhampton. That's Rich Cresswell's stomping ground, and he is here. And he is formerly of that area, but now lives in the very, very nice city of Cambridge. Cambridge is a beautiful city. Mars, the second Genesis 1291 says, I installed Studio Pro on Linux Ubuntu Studio, and all third-party plugins have genetic knobs and sliders. Any ideas how to fix this? Well, the Linux thing, and it is a thing, it is like a public beta still. You have to install certain things, and your Linux machine has to have a certain environment. There is a knowledge base article on the Linux and the whole Linux thing and how to install it, what you need to install in order to get Studio Pro and Studio One to work, including your third-party plugins. Bear in mind, not every third-party plugin manufacturer actually supports Linux. So some will not have a GUI because they are not even built for Linux. So there's going to be that issue. So there is, like I say, a knowledge base article, which I'm going to have to try and find. Let me see if I can find it for you. Type to search the knowledge base article. Let's see. Linux getting started. Here it is. Doing, doing, doing. Let's select that. I don't know why I said doing, doing, doing. So for those of you that want to know what the Linux article says, it is there. I just put it in the chat. Let's see. So Mars, that might help you if you have not read it already. If you had read it already, then yeah, go and make sure you've got all the things that you need for that. I don't have a Linux computer to be able to help you with that, unfortunately. And as it's still in public beta, it's not technically officially supported by Personas/Fender tech support. Let's see. H2K Adventure says, I got Tonalic installed, but can't use it because it keeps freezing Studio Pro. Submit a ticket and look forward to working with Studio Pro team to figure it out. How to fix it. Okay. We do have some people here, such as Kyle, who has got Tonalic running. And as far as I'm aware, it does seem to be working for him. And he's been having some fun with it. So he might be able to give you some direct help in the chat here and ask you some pertinent questions that may provide you with some help whilst you wait on tech support. So I'm going to temporarily put one foot back on my soapbox, if you don't mind, on the subject of tech support. I know all the tech support guys. I'm on first name terms with all the tech support guys. Okay? They are awesome. They are fantastic. They are a great bunch of guys, and they work exceedingly hard to work with you folks when you have a support ticket to try and get to the bottom of whatever it is that you have going on. And, you know, they may well get you to test things. They may well get you to try things. They may well get you to answer some questions that they have. Now, why are they doing that? Why are they making you do all the testing and not them do all the testing? Because the issue is happening on your computer, and they need to establish why the issue is happening to you on your computer, especially if it's not happening to them and they can't reproduce the issue. If they can't reproduce the issue, they will begin a process of troubleshooting that only you can partake in because it happens on your computer. Okay? So if they are not able to reproduce your issue, the next step will be troubleshooting. And that will be going through a process of elimination. Try this, try that, try the other. To eliminate those things from the investigation until we find what that thing is that is the actual cause that is on your computer. It might be a configuration issue. It might be RAM. It might be hard disk. It might be something else entirely. It might be fixed by deleting your settings files and allowing Studio Pro to rewrite those settings files. So you get a brand new set of settings files, and then that might actually resolve the issue. Or an uninstall and reinstall of Studio Pro may well also resolve that issue. So the tech support people will ask you to do that. All right, so that's kind of how tech support works. The other thing I want to say about tech support is, since we have Studio Pro 8 out in the wild, in the public domain, and it's only been out for about 12 days, trust me, the tech support team are slammed with support tickets. Because everybody and their wife's tennis partner and their wife's tennis partner's extramarital girlfriends are all writing into tech support asking for help about something or other. Or they're writing to complain about the change of name. I didn't say that. You didn't hear me say that. They are going to have a lot of tickets. And so the thing to do here is when you have put in a tech support ticket, wait. Okay? That's all you got to do. You got to wait until an agent responds to you. Don't make another ticket thinking that will somehow get you up to the front of the queue. It won't. Actually, all it'll do is get you right further to the back of the queue, because they'll never actually get to the bottom of the queue if people keep making multiple tickets. So making an extra ticket doesn't actually help you. It actually hinders you from getting the support you need, because the tech support agents then have to go and sort out all your multiple tickets and try and get them all into one ticket, and then they work with you there. That takes time. And it also clogs up the queue as well. So bear all of those things in mind when you're making tech support tickets. Whatever the subject is that you have, whatever you're concerned about, whatever issue you want to report. Maybe it's a bug. If they can reproduce the bug, they will log it with the development team, and the development team will investigate, and hopefully they will fix it. And hopefully that fix will get released in a maintenance update in the foreseeable future. That's kind of how it works. So yeah, that's kind of my advice. And me talking about tech support lost us a whole bunch of people who were watching. So yeah, it is a challenge for the tech support guys. So please do give them a little bit of slack, please. I know that those guys are working flat out, and they are not shirking. They are not hiding, drinking coffee and ignoring the tickets. That's not how it works. And if they did that, they may end up actually losing their jobs. So, which of course means we have one less person in tech support. So let's not be doing that. All right. I'm going to go back up to the question that John had right at the very start. And he said, I thought I would get my question in early. With the new show page video player, so happy it's finally there. Yes, so are we. We are really happy to have finally figured out how to add that to the show page. What is the best way to have a logo displayed between set list items? I've set up extra set list items that add a video of our logo, set the length at 2 seconds, and set it to loop. When I want to play the next track, I set it to continue. The only issue is it doesn't continue. It doesn't always play the looping video. Ah, I see. So sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't play the looping video. Okay. Yeah, I have to admit to you here something, John, and to everybody else. I was really excited by the whole concept of the show page. When we first started thinking about it, because everybody was performing, and, we looked over at the kind of things that people were using software wise to perform, and what they were how they were using their software, whatever that might be. And so we thought, wouldn't it be great if we integrated something like that into Studio One in the same way that the project page is also integrated. So songs could be fully integrated with the show page and still remain as songs. Kind of like you have that symbiotic relationship between the project page and the song page. So why not between the show page and the song page? And so we all thought this was a great, great idea. And it is a terrific idea to have one application that helps you go from your bare bones basic ideas to full production of your song, to mixing your song, finishing your mix, getting it sounding awesome, and then send to the project page and do your master. And then whilst you're mastering, as the volume starts to go up, you maybe start to hear certain other things. Maybe one of your guitars has a little bit too much 2K. Great. You can just click on the little button in the project page and it reopens the song. You just adjust the EQ on that track. You save the song. You update the mastering file. you carry on. That kind of symbiotic relationship between the project and the song page and the project page is an industry first. No other DAW does that. And it remains to this day, 16 years later, an industry first. And there is still no other DAW doing this. So therefore, wouldn't it be great if you could do the same with a performing environment, so that you could go from your bare bones ideas through the mixing process, through the mastering process, and then into performing, all from the same application. So you're not having to leave Studio One. You do everything inside one application. What a great idea. And you know what, personally, I was so excited by this idea because, I had a big band, which over the years, due to financial constraints within the music business in the UK, had to shrink somewhat. But I still wanted the big sound. Now, my big band was not like a traditional sort of Ellington Basie or Buddy Rich style big band. It was much more kind of big band configuration, but we played funk. We played soul, we played fusion. We didn't play Ellington or Basie or any of that stuff, except at Christmas. We played Ellington Basie stuff at Christmas, but for the most part, we didn't. We were strictly funk, fusion, all that kind of stuff, but in a big band configuration. So over time, my band got smaller and smaller and smaller, but I still wanted the bigger sound. So the show page basically was a great solution for me, for my band, because now I could create virtual tracks, virtual players, who would fill in for the players that aren't there on the stage, and I would still have my full sound. So I was really excited by this. And then the pandemic came. Yes, the pandemic came and took all of that away. Nobody could play any gigs anymore. And I could not afford to keep all of my musicians that I paid myself in employment any longer. I had thought that if this was kind of short, maybe for just a few months, then, it wouldn't be so bad. If we wrote it out for a few months, it wouldn't be so bad. I could, maybe take the financial hit. Unfortunately, the entire industry also took the financial hit, and unfortunately, the whole thing lasted for 3 years. I had to let my band go, and basically it was just me. And at this point, I had decided that I was going to retire from performing after probably better part of 35 years as a performing musician. So the show page ended up not being at all useful for me. Therefore, this is a really, really long answer. I basically haven't really used it, to be fair. So, John, that is your incredibly long answer with a very long backstory and history, which I hope you appreciated. So I just kind of thought it was kind of essential that I bring that kind of backstory into why I don't really use the show page anymore. But I did have fun setting up all my shows. They just never ever got used. So I don't even know actually whether they would have worked on stage or not. I would like to think they would, but I don't actually know. But yes, the video player that has now been added to the show page in Studio Pro 8 is awesome. So many people have asked for this, where you can have video synced to each of your songs in the show page, especially for people that have backdrops and things like that, or they have like a real-time music video that goes on in the background behind the performing musicians. I've seen lots of bands do that. Steely Dan did that for a while. What software they were using, I'm not really sure. They certainly weren't using Studio One because it predates that. But yeah, I've seen lots of bands do that, and it looks fantastic. It's visually very appealing. So I'm really glad that we have that. So really, everyone kind of thought for a while that we'd kind of stopped with the show page because, pandemic hit and, everyone kind of moved on a little bit. But no, we never did. there are still a good number of outstanding feature requests for the show page. And I hope that those will get added to future builds of Studio Pro. We'll have to wait and see. Such as, for example, being able to sync lighting rigs using, DMX commands and stuff like that. That would be something that I think a lot of people have asked for. I'd love to see that added to the show page as well. So, to answer your question, I don't actually know, John. I'm really sorry. I hate to say I don't know. But I actually don't. And I'm going to be honest. So, let me see. Billy Morgan says, when you get death certificate, make copies. You'll need them when handling affairs. Yes, I can't just make photocopies of them. It's not allowed. I have to get official copies. So that is going to cost, but I'm going to get maybe, 6 or 7 copies, and they're like £12.50 each. So that's, that's like £120 worth of copies. But I'm going to need them. What I do with them once everything is all settled, I don't know what I need to do with 7 death certificates, but we'll see. I don't know. Billy Morgan says, I did the $99 upgrade so I'd have my perpetual license, own V2 to V8, need V1. Yeah, I don't know where you're going to get V1 from to complete the whole set. However, Jonny Gibe is one of those people that does have the whole set because he was on the original beta team for Studio One version 1. And so he has been on the beta team and all of that all the way through to where we are currently. JW says it's 30 degrees Celsius there. Good grief. I would love 30 degrees Celsius right now. I will tell you that. John says he's using the show page video on tour from Thursday. Good for you. Hope it goes well. Keith says, consider all the contaminated computers with shitware installed. Yeah, there are an awful lot of, off-the-shelf computers out there that have a lot of stuff that's that's like pre-installed, by the computer manufacturer. They've installed like little pieces of software. Why they do that, I don't know. Because, I end up, when I get, the company that I get computers from is a pro audio company, and they don't do that. The only thing they do install is stuff for benchmark testing and that kind of stuff. And they basically said to me, look, as soon as you get the computer, here's where those are located, just go and uninstall them. And I did that, so I don't have those anymore. But they didn't install any bloatware or anything like that, and Windows 10, as it was, didn't install any weird stuff either. Rich says the logo would have to be a video file, even if a PNG/JPEG converting to video is fairly easy to do as a still video. This could be placed at the end of the song before the next one. That's a great suggestion, and that is addressed to John. So John, read Rich's little suggestion there, because I think that's quite a good one. And Rich again says, you cannot account for every person's setup. It is a statistical impossibility. Correct, which is why we don't. Which is why bugs appear in the wild. And if people report those bugs and we can reproduce them, then, like I said, we can get them all squared away and fixed. Billy Morgan says 33.1. Oh, sorry, 33 Fahrenheit, which is 1 degree Celsius there in Gonzales, Louisiana. Yeah, I had heard that parts of Louisiana were going to have, they are going to be exposed to this ice storm that has been moving through. So I hope it's not too bad for you down there. I certainly have seen that you've had some ice and you've had some sleet and you've had some frozen rain go through Louisiana. I've been following this all day. Let's see. I'm going down the chat again. Yeah, Kyle says you have to give an official copy to each company/bank to get stuff released to the estate. Correct. Yeah. So, and hopefully what happens, and I know sometimes this does happen and sometimes, things get lost. Hopefully having sent them, they then, send them back. Fortunately, the bank that my dad was with has a branch in Edinburgh, so I should be able to go to the branch in Edinburgh with the official copy of his death certificate and all of his, paperwork and stuff, and hopefully we should be able to get all of his financials unlocked. And in my hands instead of the government's hands. Mars says Linux is crap, free, no Microsoft spying for me, enough is enough. Okay, yeah, I don't necessarily think I've ever seen Microsoft spying on me. But even if they are, hello Microsoft, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. That's about as much as I care about it, to be honest. David Anthony is here. He says, I also think Tonalic Essentials is too restricted. Need drums and bass to really explore before subbing, especially as it's expensive. Yeah, I'm not going to say that it's cheap, because it's not, but I think it is well worth it. If you imagine what you can do with that one guitar guy, give that a test drive, just with the one guitar guy and what he can do in your songs. And then imagine, again, this goes back to using your imagination. Use your imagination as to what is therefore going to be logically possible with the bass player and the drummer and all of the other musicians who are in there. But here's the thing, and this is one of the things I like, having taken a bit of time to have a look at the Tonalic website. It looks like Celemony have done a really, really thorough job with the whole product. But here's the thing, all of the musicians that are a part of this, they are all working session musicians. And they didn't just get a flat fee for this, right? So the subscription goes to pay for more stuff to be added to the Tonalic product, which means those session musicians have to keep being paid for their work. So that's why it's not free. That's why it is also not cheap. But I do believe, from what I have seen, you do get more than your money's worth. So yes, there is a subscription that you have to do, but you want to be able to keep all of those musicians on board and constantly making new recordings in different styles. You don't just want rock, you want blues, you want jazz, you want Latin, you want various world musics, you want guitars, you want mandolins, you want banjos, you want drums with sticks, drums with mallets, drums with brushes, you want electric bass fretted, you want slap bass, you want fretless bass, you want upright bass. Those are all the things I want. Plus, I might want an accordion as well. Plus, I might want a horn section eventually, and I'm pretty sure that, down the line, those kind of things will come to Tonalic. I can't see that it's just going to be, some guitar, some bass, and a bit of drums. I can imagine that they might expand the musicianship and expand what it can do so that you could basically create almost like a full-sized working session band who will be your backing band for your songs and play your chord changes. And basically play your chord changes the way you want them to. And not just relying upon loops, which you can't change. And of course, the guitar player, you can say, hey, let's swap out your amp. Let's swap out, the pedals you're using. Let's change your guitar tone. Let's swap out the microphone. You can do all of that stuff. So, this is why it's priced the way it is. Now, I understand that it's going to be outside the budget for a good number of us. And before you ask, no, I don't have a free copy. Because I don't. They didn't give me one. Selamy, if you're watching, please be nice. Carl says they keep the copy you give them. They file it with their paperwork. That might be true in the United States. I don't think they need to do that here in the UK. I think they basically make a copy of the death certificate and then they give you back your original copy because it is an original government authorized copy. It's not just any old copy. And it is basically to close his accounts. So once his accounts are closed, that's it. And then, of course, Keith says, try it for a month and then freeze it. Yes, absolutely. And especially with the new one-button freeze thing in Studio Pro. To that point, who has actually used the one-button freeze thing? I think it's great. I've been asking for that for bloody years. I mean, you folks might think, hey, he's so close to the software development team. And I am. I go and hang out with them very regularly. I'm over in Hamburg frequently, hanging out with them and working with them. And, I sit in on meetings and all sorts with them. You'd think that they might have added some of, this particular feature request because I've been asking for it since about 2015. But here we are. They've finally done it. So, but, I'm not going to throw the development team under the bus because they are among my best friends. And also they are geniuses, all of them. And actually, truth be told, they have added a bunch of my feature requests over the years. So I'm not going to complain. But yeah, that one button freeze thing is awesome. It's so good. No more kind of right click, select an option, and then it does it. You just click the button. It's so much easier. So I'm really, really glad. I like the freeze, but still no add bus on add folder GUI. Ew, is that true? I thought we had that in Studio One 7, actually. Where if you have a folder, if you have a packed folder, you can still add a bus. I'm pretty sure you can still do that. Maybe you can't do it from the channel, but you should be able to do it from the track. I'm pretty sure. H2K Adventure says, I did it, worked flawlessly, love it. Yeah, me too. Me too. It's just, it just makes things so easy. Especially, I'm one of these people that likes to commit to a sound. So, once I have my MIDI tracks, I don't leave them as MIDI tracks. Once I'm happy with how it sounds, with the notation or the note values and all of that, once I'm happy with what it's actually playing, I want to just freeze that thing. So the instrument is out of the way and it just becomes an audio track at that point. Where is the one button freeze? Okay, if you don't have it, there is a way to make it appear. And you may not, by default, have it. So, that's going to be important to do. Now, let me see. I do have it on this song. So let's go over to the screen here. So if you have it set to appear, you'll see it right here. Unfreezed instrument track. So this is a bass track that I've actually just clicked this button on and it's frozen it. Now these ones are grayed out because they are already audio tracks. They weren't instrument tracks, but the bass and the flugelhorn, they were. So the drums wasn't, but the bass and the flugelhorn were instruments. So if you don't have this, you need to go to Options or Preferences. And I need to remember where it is, because I never remember where this is. Oh, no, you don't go here at all. You don't go here at all. If you go right click and customize, you'll see it here in the track common section down the bottom. It's even easier to find than I was about to show you. I was about to show you completely the wrong thing. So if you right click any track in the track header area and choose customize, you'll see this section here called track common, right? So you can show volume. You can even now show the panning, which is great. That's been a highly requested feature request. And then the freeze button, which you can show hide, the edit group and layers, as well as for instrument tracks, the instrument output and channel and instrument input, and the audio track format, input and channel format. So that's like all of this stuff here. So if I click that, all of that goes away. I don't have instrument tracks on here at the moment. But yeah, so just right click here, check this box here for freeze, and then you will be able to just click on an instrument track and do freeze. Or if you've got an instrument track that has an audio track, sorry, that has plugins on it, you'll be able to freeze that as well with the nice handy one button freeze. And then when it's engaged, it lights up like this. Okay? And when you hover your mouse over it, it tells you unfreeze to instrument track. So if I unfreeze this, this will revert back to my bass track, and the same with the flugelhorn. And those are both presents. So presents will be reloaded, complete with their presets. And then if I want to freeze again or make a change and then freeze again, I can just make my change in the note editor and then click this button again and boom, done. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful for you. So let's go back over here. So yes, it will show to the right of the recorder and monitor buttons if you have it to show, if you have it set to show. Kyle says, and Tonalic events can be converted to audio, but do one event at a time. Right. Otherwise, you will likely just melt your CPU. And that's definitely not advisable. Can you freeze just an event? You can bounce just an event by the same way that you always could. But freezing is to do with transforming to rendered audio. Basically, go back into Studio One land and Studio One 7 land. It used to be called transform to rendered audio, or transform to audio if it was an instrument track. So that's to do with the whole track. It's not to do with individual bits. If you want to do an individual event, you have to bounce that event. But you can also do it in the inspector. If you want to have the inspector open all the time, which I don't. Kamari Music says, good night. Good night to you, my friend. We will be finishing in just about a minute's time. So we peaked today at 38 people, and then I started talking about tech support and lost a whole bunch of people. So we've hovered around about 30 people, but that's okay. I think it's important to get information about tech support out there for all of you guys. But yeah, just be patient with those guys. They are working really, really hard. And the Hamburg team are also working really, really hard on fixing stuff and getting new features and all of that kind of stuff. They are working flat out, and they are a cracking bunch of people. So Studio Pro 8 is in the exact same hands as Studio One from version 1 all the way through to version 7. It's the exact same team, the exact same people. I talk to them every week. I know them. It's the same people. And Fender are very, very heavily invested in this, which is why, they've pumped all the resources into making it Fender Studio Pro. So this is not just a fad, right? This is not something that's going to last for a little while and then they're just going to dump the whole thing. No, this is investment into the future. And so this has a long way to go. And lots more features to come, for sure. That I can definitely tell you. Not going to tell you what those features are, but there is a megaton load of stuff coming. And you're going to love it. All right. There we go. We are done for another show. I will make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay. Make sure you've hit all notification when you select the notifications, because I'm going to be posting stuff in the community section on my channel to make sure that I am able to basically keep you all updated with what I'm going to be doing, when I'm going to be going down to England, and what shows are going to be cancelled, what shows aren't going to be cancelled. Okay, so stay tuned, keep an eye on that section, be watching for some videos that are going to be coming this week that I didn't get round to finishing the editing on. Those are going to be coming very, very soon, and I'm going to be drip feeding some Studio Pro 8 content over the next few weeks until we get into, the next major release. And then there'll be more videos after that too. All right, folks. Bid you all a very good night. Good night.